Heads up, this video is all about the current pre-release build of Mirage. Keep in mind that it's all subject to change and we may check this game out again later on. First-person melee-focused combat isn't something we see a lot of in modern games. We have a few games that have done it and done it pretty well in recent history, but they never really seem to stick around for very long, at least in the mainstream's eyes. The last first-person melee-focused multiplayer game that stuck around was Chivalry, Medieval Warfare, which came out in 2012 and to this day has a thriving online community and a pretty big player base. With its success, it only makes sense that the devs, Torn Banner Studios, would decide to release another game in the same vein. To that end, they recently launched a beta kind of thing for Mirage, Arcane Warfare, a game that takes all the juicy goodness of Chivalry's multiplayer melee chaos, slaps some magical abilities onto each character, makes some tweaks here and there, and then kinda just says go. Much like its predecessor, Mirage pulls out all the stops when it comes to combat. With how well Chivalry handled its combat, it's not surprising that Mirage does just as well, if not a little bit better, especially since it's essentially the same melee system just with tweaks and balances, different weapons, and, you know, just improvements that you would expect from a sequel. The curveball that Mirage throws into the formula is that every class you play as has their own special abilities. You have 3 slots for spells, and each slot can be one of 2 abilities that you choose in a loadout screen. You can switch your loadout at any time during a match, and the changes apply when you respawn, so you're always adjusting your loadout and play style to counter what you're playing against. Each class has their own role, and they all play differently, so there's plenty to learn and experiment with in-game. Torn Banner is also trying to give the players more mobility in Mirage, but it doesn't really feel up to snuff just yet. Sprinting is only automatic and you gradually build up speed. This makes sense for Chivalry, which is based at least in part in realism. In Mirage, a game that's much faster paced, it feels kind of awkward. My characters feel a lot heavier and slower than I think they should, especially since everyone's running around flinging magic crap at each other. You can also kind of jump off walls and you can climb up ledges, but the jumps are so gimped that I never really use them. The whole movement system kind of feels like they wanted us to have this high mobility, but they cut off our feet first. The game modes themselves are pretty standard fare. You got deathmatch, team deathmatch, capture point, and then a capture point payload hybrid. For the most part, everything's pretty decently balanced. The main exception I'd say is the payload map. If the orange team gets to the payload section, then it's almost guaranteed that they're gonna win because the other team has to get 32 kills from that point forward in order to win. I have no doubts that Mirage is also at some point going to have level builders and workshops and custom codes and stuff like that, just like Chivalry does. So I'm pretty excited to see what people can come up with, and I'm excited to see how this game grows and how the combat gets fine-tuned. There's a lot of really interesting stuff here, and it's a lot of fun. I cannot overstate that. Hop into a game with one of your friends and you just go. I do think that they need to add in a notification or a little green Dorito like they have in Chivalry, just something to mark where your friends or people in your party are so that you can find them and help them out in combat. Because a lot of the fun in Chivalry is going up against these massive armies with a couple of your friends by your side and being able to look, see where they are, and go and help them. Mirage needs that, and I think it would work really well in Mirage. Mirage is a game with as much depth in its combat as it has personality in its characters and its levels. I have no doubts at all that when this game launches in May, it'll be just as popular as Chivalry, if not more so. It's gonna be launching on Steam for about 25 bucks, so keep an eye on this one, alright? Thanks for joining me for this episode of Indie Bytes. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please remember to leave a like and subscribe for more stuff like this. Be sure to check out the other content that we put out on this channel, and remember to drop me a line here on Twitter or through email with any game recommendations that you've got. You can find all that stuff down in the description below. I'll see you next time. Bye!